Before lie-flat seats and noise-cancelling headphones, before Emirates showers and Qatar Q suites, luxury in the sky had a different face. It was the 1960s, the golden age of aviation. And flying wasn't just a way to get somewhere, it was an experience. This was an era when air travel was a status symbol, a social event, and a moment to be savoured. It was an age when passengers dressed like they were heading to a gala, and meals were served on fine china. And the cabins? Let's just say they weren't built for function. Today, we're returning to when boarding a plane felt like stepping into a penthouse suite. These are the 10 most luxurious commercial cabins of the 1960s, not ranked by price, not ranked by capacity, but by sheer extravagance. So buckle up, because some of these cabins will make even first class today look like the economy.
Number 10. Boeing 707, Pan Am First Class.
Let's start with the iconic jet that helped launch the jet age. Pan Am's Boeing 707 was sleek, proud, and polished. But in first class, this was another world. Think white linen tablecloths, lobster-tail dinners, and flight attendants who looked like they stepped off a fashion runway. The seats reclined like armchairs, and drinks were served in crystal glassware. And if you were flying overnight, a complimentary sleep kit awaited, as a silk eye mask, slippers, and cologne were included. It wasn't just a flight, it was a ritual, a rite of passage. And beneath all the glamour was a spirit of optimism. This wasn't just about where you were going, it was also about how you got there. The hum of the engines, the clink of a fork against porcelain, the soft hush of conversation. The 707 was the sky's most elegant lounge. Ask anyone who flew Pan Am in its prime, and they'll tell you those were flights you remember. Not for the speed, but for the grace.
Number 9. Douglas DC-8, Swissair's floating salon. Swissair did something bold. They turned the DC-8 into a floating lounge. Forget tight rows of seats, the lounge area had plush armchairs that swiveled toward each other for conversation. A bar in the rear offered Swiss chocolates and imported wine. The crew wore tailored uniforms that felt more like hotel staff than flight attendants. You didn't just cross the Atlantic, you mingled across it. And the quiet efficiency of Swiss design made everything feel effortless. A folded napkin just so, a glass refilled before it was empty. No fuss, no chaos, just calm luxury suspended above the clouds. It was less like being on a plane and more like attending a private event. A salon with wings. Some say Swissair pioneered the idea that the economy could be humane, and first class, that was simply unforgettable. Number 8. Ilyushin IL-62, the Soviet Silk Route. While the West flaunted glamour, the Soviets played a quieter, more reserved luxury card with the IL-62. Its VIP cabins were state secrets in themselves. Velvet drapes, private compartments, mahogany finishes. If you were a foreign diplomat or a high-ranking official, this was your office in the sky. Don't let the minimalist exterior fool you. Inside, it was a Cold War marvel. And those flying aboard often carried not just luggage, but ideology. Conversations were hushed, every gesture was calculated. In this floating embassy, silence was golden. The IL-62 didn't show off, it didn't need to. Power often arrived quietly. Its engines roared, but its interior whispered of authority. Number 7. De Havilland Comet 4, Ebo AC Royal Lounge. BOAC's Comet 4 may have had a turbulent early history, but by the 60s, it was flying smoothly and in style. The Royal Lounge seating area in first class was pure British charm, from tea sets and reading lamps to wood grain veneer trays and floral centerpieces. There were a lot of conveniences. It was as if someone had recreated a Mayfair drawing room at 35,000 feet. There was something deliberate about it. You sipped your tea, you read your paper, you adjusted your tie, and outside, the world passed by beneath you like a memory. Flying BOAC meant elegance without extravagance, luxury without loudness. It was the kind of class that whispered instead of shouted. The Comet had one more trick up its sleeve. It made you feel safe again after a difficult start. That was its most genuine luxury. Number 6. Convair 990, the jet set rocket. The Convair 990 was built to be fast, But it was also, surprisingly, built to impress. Carriers like Swissair and American Airlines installed wide recliner seats, stylish cabin panels, and yes, an actual cocktail bar. Flight attendants wore futuristic uniforms, and you weren't just flying fast, you were sipping champagne at Mach 0.91. The buzzword was jet set. You were part of a new global tribe, business leaders, artists, dreamers, swept from one capital to the next, always chasing the next big thing. The 990 didn't just fly you there, it made you feel like you were already important when you arrived. Passengers spoke of stepping off the aircraft, feeling taller and sharper, as if the cabin had dressed them for success.
Number 5. Vickers VC-10. British elegance at altitude. Imagine a cabin designed by Rolls-Royce. That's the kind of feeling the VC-10 gave off. It was quiet, thanks to its rear-mounted engines. And that piece allowed passengers to enjoy the onboard lounge area in first class. Conversations flowed as easily as the gin. With a cabin pressurized to sea level and walnut wood decor, it was no wonder Queen Elizabeth herself was fond of this aircraft. Flying the VC-10 was less about speed and more about serenity. You felt dignified, elevated, literally and figuratively. It was British refinement, cruising at 500 miles per hour. Even turbulence felt like a courteous interruption, not a rude awakening. Number 4. Lockheed L-188 Electra, the airborne Salon. Though technically a turboprop, the Electra deserves its place. Some operators transformed the front section into a flying salon. Lamps, dividers, soft pastel walls. It was warm, elegant, and miles away from the sterile feel of today's aircraft. And the sound? A low hum, almost like a lullaby. Short-haul business travelers adored it, and families found it relaxing. This cabin offered a charm often lost in today's compressed cabins and tight connections. It reminded you that luxury isn't always about flash. Sometimes genuine luxury is about how you feel. Passengers often emerged refreshed, less because of the destination and more because the journey had treated them kindly.
3. Boeing 377 Stratocruiser, the double-deck dream. Step inside and you'd forget you were in an aeroplane. Downstairs, a lower-deck cocktail lounge with a spiral staircase. Upstairs, a cabin so spacious that it made today's business class feel cramped. Seats turned into berths. Meals were multi-course. You didn't just fly, you dined, lounged, and napped, sometimes all before reaching cruising altitude. It was the closest thing to a cruise ship in the sky. And people dressed accordingly: suits, dresses, heels. Because when the setting is this grand, you rise to meet it. There were stories of impromptu toasts, presents delivered mid-flight, and couples proposing in that downstairs lounge. It wasn't travel, it was life happening at 30,000 feet. 2. Lockheed Constellation, the Art Deco legend. Few aircraft turned heads like the Constellation. The triple tail, the dolphin's fuselage, the smooth lines. But inside, pure Art Deco fantasy. Mood lighting, reclining leather seats, curved cabin walls, and the noise, a rhythmic hum that felt more like a heartbeat than a roar. It was a plane for movie stars and monarchs. Many passengers described it as the most beautiful aircraft they'd ever flown. Not because it was the biggest, but because it had soul. And that soul? You felt it in every stitched seam, every polished surface, every smile from the cabin crew. The Constellation didn't just fly, it charmed.
Number 1.
Boeing 747 early configs, the Sky Palace. Yes, the 747 was introduced at the very end of the 1960s, but oh, did it make an entrance. The original upper deck was never meant for economy. It was a cocktail. With a spiral staircase leading up to it, passengers sipped martinis under gold trim. The space was glorious. It was carriers like Pan Am offered piano, private booze, and even themed bars. You didn't fly the early 747s, you hosted parties on them. The 747 didn't just democratize travel, it redefined what was possible. It began a new chapter and the final word on luxury. If you were lucky enough to fly, you didn't just get more space, you got a memory, you could brag about forever. There you have it. 10 cabins that defined luxury before flat beds and touchscreen TVs. Flying in the 1960s wasn't just about getting there, it was about how you got there. Each cabin was a chapter in the story of aviation, a story not just about speed or engineering, but about dreams of elegance, comfort, and possibility. They were more than metal and fuel. They were stages, and the people flying them, definitely characters in a once-in-a-lifetime play.